What's up? Welcome back to Time Walk TV. My name is Ron, and we're back with some Core Set 2020 spoilers. Now, if you like the channel and you want to support the content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It does help out a lot. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. We got a lot to talk about here. Some really cool rares and mythics that got spoiled today, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Our first card here is going to be Marauding Raptor. It's a 2/3 for 1 and a red. It's a dinosaur. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Marauding Raptor deals 2 damage to it. If a dinosaur is dealt damage this way, Marauding Raptor gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So the main thing here is that it makes your creatures cheaper. It's got a great stat line of 2/3 for only 2 mana. It triggers all of your enraged dinosaurs from Ixalan. Pretty awesome there. The thing you want to look out for is the polymorph dinosaur, that one that makes a copy of itself if it's dealt damage. Because if you don't have a way to stop the chain that happens, so every time it's dealt damage, it makes a token. Whenever that token comes in as a dinosaur, it gets dealt 2 damage from the raptor. So if you don't have a way to get rid of the raptor, the game actually cannot continue and it's a draw. So you might want to avoid that. If you have a removal spell, Marauding Raptor, you can just make a bunch of tokens for Polyraptor, and then you have a great big giant army to beat your opponent up with. Other than that, the whole gives it +2/+0, not that big of a deal, although it does kind of make that combo a little bit more interesting. If you're able to stop that chain that happens when polymorph dragon comes in, or sorry, polymorph dinosaur comes in, you can essentially make this thing, infinite damage. If you have a way to make it evasive or trample, and you're able to stop that chain from happening, you can potentially swing in with near infinite damage, because every time it deals damage to a dinosaur, this thing gets +2/+0. So that's a pretty cool interaction there. Just got to be careful with the whole going infinite thing. So that's not the best way to play the game, is to do a draw. So pretty excited to see some really good dinosaurs being spoiled. I know it's one of the tribes, but one of the tribes that was a little underrepresented, even though they were a mainstay in Ixalan and the first time that they were revealed. So that's pretty cool that they're, making dinosaurs more and more. It's a great creature type. It's really cool. You got to have those decks that are, big giant creatures. A lot of good payoffs. They're a lot of fun to play. Okay, our next card coming up here is going to be the new Soren. Soren and Pyrius Bloodlord. For 2 and a black, you get a 4 loyalty planeswalker with +1. Target creature you control gains death touch and lifelink until end of turn. If it's a vampire, put a 1/1 counter on it. Another +1, you may sacrifice a vampire. When you do, Soren and Pyrius Bloodlord deals 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life. In the -3, you may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. So vampires just got a huge payoff card. Really excited to try this guy out. I don't have all the vampire cards just yet. There's a lot to this card, actually. The main thing is that it's a 3-drop planeswalker. They've been pretty liberal with making these 3-drop planeswalkers. Usually in the past, they would kind of steer away from it. Planeswalkers were 4, 5, 6 mana. That's, they were really powerful, and that's where they were, supposed to be. Now they're kind of moving into this, can we make it 2 mana? Can we make 3 mana? Which is actually pretty cool. They're a lot more playable, easier to cast, makes the game more dynamic and interesting for sure. So this one actually comes with 4 loyalty, which is crazy. unlike the blue planeswalker we looked at last time, this one can -3 immediately. But you do have 2+ abilities that go really well with the vampire tribal aspect of this, which is really cool. So you can give your vampire, death touch and lifelink, and you can pump it as well, putting 1/1 counter on it. And it says till end of turn. Okay, so if it was the end of next turn, you could use it for a block. For the main thing this is doing is, you're swinging in. Do they want to lose a creature just for your guy, but you're gaining life anyway? The other +1 is sacrifice a vampire, lightning helix something. That's really sweet, especially with the fact that you can make vampire tokens. So you can just sack a token, lightning helix something, and you're still plussing. It's not like you're minusing 2 to do this second ability. It's always a plus, so it keeps going up and up and up. The -3 I think has more implications in modern than in standard, although in standard there are some pretty big vampires that could potentially swing games, so that's pretty sweet that you're able to do that. I know like putting in like a vampire nocturnus or something off of that has got to be completely insane. Well, we'll see what players do with it. I doubt they're going to move into a vampire tribal deck just on a whim, because modern is a turn 2-3 format now with these graveyard decks. So instead of being cute, they're just being more efficient and just killing their opponent. In standard, I totally think that we're going to see the vampire tribal deck come back. It used to be such a big fun deck to play. It just went really wide and it pumped all its creatures, and you could tutor up vampires and stuff like that. So maybe that tutor vampire will be good with this guy. Tutor up your big guy, draw it, -3, put into play. So that's super exciting. Really excited what they're doing with all the card design with this. I'd love to see more cards from this set. It's turning out to be a great set. So let's go ahead and move on to our next card. Okay, moving on to our next card, we have Yarok the Desecrated. It's going to be 2 of anything, Sultai colors, black, green, and blue. It's a 3/5 Death Touch lifelink elemental horror, and it's legendary, and for good reason. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, then that ability triggers an additional time. So basically what this is a Panharmonicon on steroids strapped to a world-eating monster with lifelink. It is crazy. Now, Panharmonicon only worked for creatures and artifacts. This little monster works for permanents, anything. So when a creature or an artifact or enchantment, planeswalker, land, if any of those enter the battlefield and cause an ability to trigger, that ability is triggering again. So Commander players rejoice that they have this nonsense now, because you can play it with Panharmonicon and all these crazy cards that are in Commander. Deadeye Navigator plus a creature with this is absolutely bonkers. I don't even know. There's just the whole format can just warp around this thing. I don't think that's going to be the case, but you're going to have a lot of fun playing this card if Panharmonicon style decks are something you're into, Saffron Olive. So this is going to be super fun. I think I might actually build a deck around this, because I like flickering stuff. I like getting extra value out of just playing my cards, playing my deck. So super excited for this card. It's gonna just be nuts in Commander. I don't think it'll see too much play in Standard. There is like Muldrotha and some other big cards that'll allow you to play stuff from your graveyard or have some cool triggered abilities. 3/5 is a good stat line with that touch and lifelink. You can really kind of take over the game against a lot of decks with one of these. It is 5 mana. It's a little tough, but you'll probably be playing Llanowar Elves or some sort of ramp, so I could definitely see it. I kind of like that that aspect of it. I definitely play it. 10 out of 10 would play again. Let's go ahead and move on to our next card here. Okay, moving on to our next card, we have Marauding Registar. 2 of anything in a black for a 7/6 zombie dinosaur that says at the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but you know, FYI, discarding a card every upkeep is not a good enough deterrent for someone not to play this card. I know with low costing, high power creatures, they try to put a deterrent as the ability, like you can't draw cards or you can't do this or do that. This is basically just saying discard a card, which in some decks, discarding card is like drawing a card. So, wow, this card is insane. As far as power level, I mean, you could play turn 1 Llanowar Elves and then play this on turn 2. Having a 7/6 on turn 2 and then possibly curve this into like a Nullhide Ferox is going to be a beating, an actual beating. And then if you top deck Galta, then it's really going to be game over. But I think the discarding thing is not even relevant, to be honest. Yeah, discarding a card every turn for 4 turns is going to be a pain in the butt, and you'll be empty-handed pretty quickly. But this is on the battlefield for 4 turns, you're probably winning the game. So definitely prepare to see this thing coming out on a lot of decks. Maybe like a rock style aggro deck, maybe. You never know, it could happen. I just think this card's going to see a lot of play, and it's a zombie, so you can have some synergies with other zombie cards. And it's also a dinosaur, so like Registar Alpha can pump this thing to an 8/7, which is insane. Just be prepared to get run over by one of these things, and they're not even going to care that they're discarding a card every turn because they're drawing a card every turn too for their turn. So pretty cool card. I'm super pumped on it. I think it's going to beat a lot of people. Hopefully I can get my hands on some more wild cards so I can buy a bunch of these when the set drops. Maybe I'll even do the pre-order type thing. So that's pretty sweet. We have one last card or cards to kind of go over here. Let's go ahead and move on to those. The temples are back, and we are super duper confirmed that we're going back to Theros. This is these are the lands that were first revealed in Theros. I believe when we get back to Theros, we'll probably get the other set of them, just as the buddy lands are cycling out of standard. So we'll have probably all the shock lands, and we'll probably have all these temples as well. Temples are pretty interesting. They're the first dual lands that will scry. So they all come into play tapped. Tap for the 2 different colors. When they enter the battlefield, they scry 1. Now, back when these were first in standard, like Sphinx's Revelation was in standard. So it's pretty funny callback that these are back in standard, back during another Ravnica block. So that's actually pretty funny. But the control decks really liked them. The 3-color like heavy mid-range decks really liked them. I think like Commune with the Dreadhorde will like them. They just played them like the first few turns of the game. Fixed their draws, chose whatever they wanted really to be on top of their deck, and just used their cheap removal to kind of take out any threats. And now that we have like Tyrant Scorn, and we have Thought Erasure and that new Legion's End card, the black cheap removal is at a premium, or not at a premium, but it's at an excess basically. So we have a ton of them. So playing a bunch of temples isn't really going to be too much of a drawback, because you're going to be sculpting your deck while being able to take out any and all threats pretty easily. So expect to see a bunch of these. It looks like for now we're just going to have, as far as the black decks, we'll be able to have Abzan or black-white for the vampires, or green-black for the removal mid-range deck. Very excited to see these back in standard. I think they're going to see a lot of play. Not right now. Once the buddy lands go ahead and move their way out of standard, these things will pick up in popularity like crazy. By that time, we'll probably be back in Theros and have the other set as well. So thank you again for watching. I very much appreciate it. This has been June 19th set of spoilers for Core Set 2020. Again, if you like the video and you want to support the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you like the video and all the spoilers, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. If you did not, feel free to hit that thumbs down. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know which cards you really like, which deck Yarok that you like the most and are going to play in Constructed or Commander, anything like that. If you have any suggestions on future videos, what you'd like me to talk about as far as cards, decks, events, stuff like that. I do want to try to attend a pre-release, maybe a live event like an STG or something. If I do, I'd be interested in trying to vlog, quote unquote. Keep learning how to communicate better and film myself, since I'm super awkward. But we'd like to go ahead and try new things and just keep learning and experiencing life and playing Magic the Gathering, the best game there is. So until then, we will see you in the next video.